to the Five-A-Side podcast, Thursday night edition. A shorter episode tonight for you, as we want to let our man, Mr. Ross Stewart, away to enjoy his mum's birthday with her. Only 2 games really to talk about because there is no highlights for the championship game between Dundee and Inverness.
No one wants
and we'll jump right in because we'll jump right into that because Billy wants to give us a little bit of a rundown of what happened in that game.
Yes, so I was talking to my sources who were at the game, and they've comprised a very clear match report for me. So, Dundee moving up to 4th in the Scottish Championship table after holding off Inverness Caledonian Thistle's comeback at Dens Park. 10 minutes in, goal for Dundee, scored by Max Anderson. For the young striker, that's a goal for him. Good ball in from Declan McDade, who's meant to be at Partick Thistle, but then wasn't at Partick Thistle. He's now at Dundee, but will he go back to Partick Thistle? Who knows? And that was how the tone was set. Half-time, 45 minutes just before it. Come dog, he's back, baby. Goal number 2. After good play from McMullen to get the ball into Come dog, and he bang.
Hold on a minute.
2-0.
I wasn't allowed to call him that last time.
Well, I'm calling it for the purposes of this report. And then,
A great report.
in the second half, Neil McCann thought, oh, well, we're losing 2-0, let's just go for it. And he went for it. But the 75th minute, he got his reward. Nikolai Todorov with the headed goal. And then, little to no avail, Inverness could not get the winning goal, or the equalising goal, I should say. And Dundee held on to win the game, 2-1. Inverness stay 7th, Dundee up to 4th.
Thank you. That was Billy Kirkpatrick, everyone.
What a match report.
A very in-depth match report.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 teams who owned the game on in the championship during the week, and they're 2 teams who hadn't played football regularly for several months now. Are we finally seeing football back in Dundee and Inverness then?
Dundee didn't. They had a few games called off, but they did manage to play 2 games.
So no,
two games in February.
They had one game called off 4 times or something.
Well, it has been called off 4 times yet. But we see that game in a week. A week on Tuesday. Is that when that game gets played out? So
Hopefully.
Brilliant.
So, well, yeah, hopefully.
At this point.
Yeah. I wish there was highlights so we could go more in depth on what happened, but none of us seem to manage to find anything anywhere. So
I think we just need to start sending emails out to let us into the ground.
Yeah, please championship clubs record your games
Or let us into the ground to watch a game.
They might have a service, like a website that you have to sign up to watch the games. I didn't actually look too much, to be fair.
Maybe we can look deeper into that one at some point.
Something I would like to point out about that game, that is Jason Cummings, 3 games in the last 3 goals in the last 3 games.
Oh, he's played 3 games in the last 3 games.
Across the last 3 games.
Congratulations.
Can't believe he's 3 games in the last 3 goals as well. Some man.
He has.
You always forget that Cummings is only 25, to be fair. You feel like he's been around for a while.
He's had some career. It's been all over the shop.
I thought it was 34.
Yeah.
He says he's had some career. It's been a bit of a mince career.
He was good at Hibs.
Good for him.
I think he was that bad at Rangers, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Fucking Grado was good at Hibs.
Yeah.
Then at Shrewsbury Town, he was okay.
Sure, you didn't see him at Shrewsbury Town. You watched 1 game against Liverpool.
Was he good in that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
I don't know.
You have to take that.
Oh dear.
And while we're talking about the championship, in other news this week, it was announced that the lower league clubs, so the League 1 and League 2 clubs, are allowed to return to training soon, is it?
We're returning to training ASAP, but the league starts in 2 weeks' time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But they still need
That's a quick turnaround
they
from...
still need to decide how many games they're going to be playing. They want to play 22, but the PFL only want to play 18. So we'll see what the outcome of that is.
That's a quick turnaround from not playing games to having to play potentially 2 games a week.
Mm-hmm. It is, and for part-time players, that won't cause injuries.
Especially with the return of the Scottish Cup being confirmed as well.
Yes.
I mean, personally, for me, I think it's an absolute shambles, but There you go.
I described it as farcical the
I
other
think
day.
most football brain would also agree with you.
I mean, so
I think-
part-time players that are working day in, day out in contact with numerous folk, depending on what job they do, to then go into a testing bubble, which is designed to spot, positive tests within a bubble of folk that don't mix out with that, apart from the families, etc. It's good. The gate is not. They will not reach the gate. I am calling this right now. They will not reach the required games because there'll be a group of players that will test positive, and then the game will be postponed. And there's not enough time to fit in any postponed games.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the benefit of the doubt for being responsible, considering they've not played for so long, considering we've had these restrictions for coming up in a year now. We've had like most of these restrictions. Surely they'll see some sense and be like, I'm finally getting playing football again. There's not much you can do anyway outside of football anyway.
It depends, because you could be responsible, but depending on your line of work, you could be in contact with people. You don't know how responsible they are. So I think there is an element to that.
Yeah,
Well,
I think when you've got
we'll see.
players with part-time jobs, there's just the general day-to-day risks. And with the number of players that are going to be sort of mixing bubbles per se, it seems like a sort of ticking time bomb until there's a sort of breakout.
And also, like stadiums trying to facilitate different teams, etc. Like, I know a lot of players won't be allowed to shower; they just have to get straight in their car after games, etc.
Well, that's what it's like in the Championship just now. Yeah, the away team's not allowed to. Well, I know it's for the away team. I don't know why the home team's allowed, but they're not allowed to shower or that. So, like, the likes of when Inverness come down to Ayr, even if they go down to Queen of the South, they have to go all the way back up without a shower.
Well,
It's-
folk from Kelly are used to not
Like,
showering,
that bus.
so they'll be able to get on with it.
Right.
So that's got to do with Queen of
Yep.
the South.
Just
I just
Matt on this week's episode of just
saying
stuff.
random stuff. I think if they get their 22 game season that they're going for, then and that means that that season will finish 2 weeks after the Championship season. It's not possible to have a promotion playoff only going. You can't expect a Championship club to wait 2 weeks without playing and then go into a playoff game for survival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see how they work it and see what they do. I just thought we'd bring that up because it was news.
Yeah.
We'll now talk about the Premiership. And there was 2 games this week.
Yep.
There was.
So we'll start off. Livingston 0, Rangers 1. Ross Stewart, you were not at this one, but you did watch it, so how was it?
Quite scrappy, I guess you could say it like that. To be honest, it wasn't much of a spectacle. It was just your sort of same old Scottish football game. Obviously, big talking point, which we've all seen with Morelos getting fouled in the box by Striek, the Livy goalkeeper, and then being booked for simulation.
That's funny, Drew, that you called it a foul, but there was no foul given, was there?
No comment. Subsequently, Gerrard has gone onto the pitch to confront Beaton and get yellow carded, then shortly after got sent off for comments made.
I don't want to quote the comments, but
You can find them in most outlets, to be fair.
you can. Yeah, it's not a very good thing to be caught on live TV cameras shouting, especially when there's no other background noise.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to chime in on this one. I think, last night I had a view on it, and I solely blamed Steve Gerrard for that. But having watched it back and having, reanalyzed it, with a kind of fresh eyes, I actually do have a bit of sympathy for Mr. Steve Gerrard. I think that, yes, there is ways to speak to match officials, and definitely Steve has crossed the line there. for that. But as match officials, there are ways you have to speak to managers, and not to look at someone in the eye is quite insulting, and to be very dismissive and quite rude. I think that came across as quite arrogant, and I don't want to see that kind of barrier come up between managers and officials. I want a kind of healthy working relationship so that we don't have to talk about it week in, week out. But all I will say is that in the defence of Steve, it's not the first time that this match official has had has an incident with a manager this season with regards to quote attitude.
For me, we talk about match officials getting respect and deserving respect and all that, and to be fair to Steven Gerrard, like the way the referees kind of handle the situation, just ignoring him, like you can turn around and say to him, I'm not willing to discuss that right now, and then walk away from him instead of letting it escalate to the point where you're having to show like the manager a yellow card and then subsequently a red card.
I know he did suggest to talk about it like in the tunnel, but he couldn't do that. So, like it didn't make any real sense. Like I think we can all agree that Gerrard shouldn't have acted the way he did. And probably will receive. Obviously, Billy's more up to date on it, but you suggest, Bill, what, a couple of match bans?
3. I'm going to go 3, but it's a difficult one because to an extent, Steve is right in what he's saying. How can three officials, miss an incident that's clear cut? He's got a point, but it's how you express that point. I think Steve will in future consider his language more carefully.
Right. I've got a question for everyone really, but mainly Jura. Do you think it's the recent sort of turn down in like form performances from Rangers is maybe a showing of how much work like the players and the management team and that have put in this season?
Do you say the recent dip in performances? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think realistically, to play at the level they were at the start of the season for 38 games would have been unattainable. Like, I don't think any team, probably perhaps even ever, would have done that. But they certainly, Morelos had about 4 or 5 chances that he probably should have scored from. But it was never the performances were never gonna stay at that level, and they've got Europe to deal with. And at the moment, they're just grinding out results, which champions obviously tend to do.
Well, yeah, it's something you said to me for years about Celtic is that they, like every season, they were just sort of grinding out the results, and see even games where they didn't exactly play well, they'd somehow manage to find a way to win it. And it's what Rangers have done it a couple times earlier this season, but they've been doing it a lot more recently now. Are you worried that you might eventually lose one if it keeps going the way that it's going?
I don't know. Like, I don't see us conceding many more with the games left. Like I have said to you for years, Celtic used to have a knack of scoring like 85th minute for a draw or 90th minute for a winner. They used to do that week in, week out, especially under particularly Brendan. I don't know if it was his managerial know-how, but they were fantastic at giving it their all to the final whistle. Could we see Rangers perhaps losing against Celtic?
Thank you, Billy.
Given the amount of games they have to play, I think it's the only team that has the potential to take points off of Rangers.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make comment on that. There's obviously there's a few games to go still this season, but yeah,
We could be playing the next league term without a manager on the touchline
and without Morelos.
and without Morelos potentially.
But yeah,
Without
I don't think it's.
a manager, you get to
There you
see
go.
the full extent of Bilbao.
You're right.
Yeah, that's absolutely plenty.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't. It's a mark of champions, certainly, like winning games like that, scrappy games. But I think it's just you don't really ever see any other clubs apart from Celtic or Rangers doing it really, because it's a marker like when they've been wearing a team down over 90 minutes, and you can kind of tell like, oh, they could get a late goal here because this team's so worn down, and like they've been defending so hard the whole game. It's hard to defend for 90 minutes against the attacks that Rangers and Celtic have. So, I mean,
I think you're saying, like, do you think they'll lose a game because they've been struggling for form? I don't think I've seen a game in the league this season where Rangers have looked like they're going to lose. Like, I'm trying to think back, but like a lot of the games they might not have looked at their best, but I've never seen them look as if they're going to lose the game.
I think for me that's not really a problem for Rangers. But the only thing is, like, if you look at games like last night, where you're getting late into the game and you haven't broke a team down, then you leave yourself open to sort of like a shot blow, rather than
the
a team getting like a deserved win.
The longer a game goes on and you've not scored and they've not scored, it kind of gives them hope. They're like, we're still in this one, so there is the potential for a team to do it, and I mean,
Obviously,
we'll see.
We had this discussion earlier in our group chat. We wonder what's more important for Gerrard, an unbeaten season, or how far he could potentially go in the Europa League, because there's going to be a point where there's going to be a team that probably will be too good for this current Rangers team.
Yeah, I think it has to be Europe.
It has to be.
Yeah, I think all Gerrard would care about is actually tying up, winning the league.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually really will care about going unbeaten. Really, like when Brendan Rodgers did it at Celtic, he wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, I really need to be unbeaten in this league. He was just like, I really need to win the league.
I think it got to the point where Brendan said that they were out of Europe, so they could focus on the league at that point. But Rangers,
they focused on other competitions.
Yeah,
as well,
Rangers have St Mirren this weekend, and then they've got a week off where they've got the two Thursday night games, and then they've got the Old Firm game where they can potentially win the league. Obviously, they could potentially win it this weekend as well. But then if they do win it there, and they do get by Sparta Prague, then they're gonna, if they're going into the next round of Europe, they're going to be resting their players at the weekend, so they've got fresh players for the thing.
You'd like to think so for the hopes of Scottish coefficient points, to be honest. That they'd be taking it seriously.
Like, because there's a few teams in there where, you know, like Rangers, even at their best, they're going to struggle to beat or to get anything out of. But there's a lot of teams still in Europe that Rangers playing their best with their freshest, like with fresh players, will be able to beat.
100%, yeah. Before we get bogged down and talk about Rangers for too long, there was another game on last night at the same time, I think, and it was Hamilton v Betfred Cup winner St Johnstone, and that one finished 1 each. I watched the highlights. I think this is the first time I've actually watched a full highlights video because I was bored. I was that bored today. So, yeah, I've got to say, you've got to feel for St Johnstone a little bit. I really thought from the highlights that were shown that they really deserved to win that game. For most of the match, the Hamilton goalkeeper really kept Hamilton in it. Well, he was the one that was working the hardest, really, for me. And had it not been for a fantastic ball up from the halfway line and a good touch and finish, then he would have kept a clean sheet and got them all 3 points.
Yeah, I think the draw was probably the fair result in the end because both teams did have the chances. Obviously, I think St Johnson's chances were better, and Hampton goalkeeper had to make more key saves. But at the end of the day, it was quite an even.
I think a draw is fair, but I really when I was watching the highlights, St Johnson probably if St Johnson had won, you wouldn't have really argued with that.
Yeah,
a fair result either.
But even if I think if Hamilton had won, you probably wouldn't. You would have said that's fair enough. They've done enough to win the game, and it would have been an absolute massive win for them. It would have taken them off bottom, and now they're joint points with Kelly now, but they would have been 2 points ahead of Kelly if they'd managed to hold on to that win.
Yeah, I'm glad St Johnson scored that late goal because, well, just anything to put like Hamilton as low to the bottom of the table as possible, as close to relegation as possible.
Not going
I know they won't. No, they will not.
Every
They won't
year.
go down. But I'm just saying, anything to put them as low as possible and give us that hope that they'll go is all I care about. But while we talk about Hamilton, some goal from them.
It was a good finish. Bruce Anderson working hard again to get that ball, get it forward. Just laid it off to Callan, and good finish.
Tidy finish. I don't think the goalkeeper was really expecting it, to be honest.
No, I don't think he was. No.
Neither was I, to be honest. I was watching the highlights and then the ball's in the back of the net, and I was like, oh, better rewind it and watch that again.
But, I mean, it was a game for good goals. To be fair, because St Johnson's was a different type of goal, but it was still just as good.
A cracker, an absolute
Yeah,
cracker.
great play.
The control. I don't know who played the long ball, but the control to bring it down from Mohamed and
Liam.
put it away.
I think it was one of the centre halves that played.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm not sure which one it was.
They were pushed up very high at that point, to be honest.
It was Gordon. Gordon played the part.
Liam Gordon.
Liam Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good ball. It's one of those ones that maybe you'd be arguing the defence should probably deal with better because it is just played straight up the middle, but it's really good striker play from him to get in that gap where it's going. His touch is absolutely phenomenal. His touch and his turn and then the finish.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, it was like he touched it and then he kind of like hit it before it even bounced as well, like with the same motion, the touch and the hit. I believe St Johnson on their Twitter compared it to Bergkamp. So
I was going to say they did. They called him something on their Twitter account. I just couldn't remember what.
I mean, that's always a good comparison if you're a player and you're getting compared to Bergkamp.
Yeah.
Sure, Bergkamp look at the goal thinking, "Oh, I wish I could do that."
His celebration was kind of like the St Johnson players were coming up and being like, "Yeah, yes, mate, well done," and he's like, "Fuck off! We need to come on. We can still maybe like get a win out of this." Pushing them all the way back up to the halfway line to start the game again. I like that in a player though.
Yeah, because I mean it was the 87th minute, which is it's late, but you know you never know when you get that goal. You do get that late momentum to try and get another one. Because I believe that's now another. I think they can still finish in top 6. Actually, I think they need some results to go their way.
Yeah. And talking about results, some great results in the predictions from us from those 3 games. We did really well. Bottom of the pile, myself with 0 points this week. Just ahead of me, Craig and Jur with 2 points this week.
I was so close. If Hamilton had just held on to that win, I was the only one that had Hamilton to win.
Mm-hmm. And Matt, 6 points, all 3 results correct. And Billy was 7 points with the 1 correct scoreline and the 1 correct result.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Billy. So standings-wise, Billy has gained a point on Matt. Matt's still out in the lead, 7 points ahead. And we will not talk about the bottom 3 of the table because we are miles behind.
You say we are, and me, I am miles behind.
Miles behind.
You're only 4
Last
behind me,
three.
though. So
I'm last.
It's
I thought Ferg was last.
No.
No.
No, don't disrespect me
Matt,
like
you've
that.
got 59, Craig is 37.
That's not very good.
I,
You know
I
what?
did get 2 points out of
But
it.
but
full card.
wait, no, stop. At the weekend, we've almost got a full card, so there is the chance for Craig to do some catching here if he has a flawless weekend.
Well, we would have had a full card if Dunfermline could control their COVID outbreak. Dunfermline.
No, but we'll let him off it because it's COVID. Okay, it's a very very contagious illness. Okay,
Illness.
We should get minus 20 points so for that assumption.
Can you just shut your little mouth, Ross? Sure, okay. And we'll go on and we'll predict the weekend's games and we'll see how wrong you are, buddy.
Ahead of you by quite a bit. I guess I'm
Right.
presenting now because Ferg's been silent.
No, we're starting in the Premiership and we're starting in Aberdeen. They take on Hamilton. Craig.
Yeah, I really want Hamilton to win this game because I want Kelly to go down, but I'm going to go for one each.
Billy.
I'll go for 2-1 to Aberdeen.
Ross Stewart
I'm going to say 2-0 Aberdeen.
and Matt.
I'm gonna go for a 1-0 Aberdeen.
Yeah, I'm gonna go likewise with a 1-0 Aberdeen.
Well, I'm the only one to predict anything other than an Aberdeen win, so
Because nobody else.
It'll be a tight game. It'll be a tight game, but nobody else is dumb.
Yes.
Craig.
No, it's not
Aberdeen
that.
are
It's just
That's why
nobody
you're
wants
bottom of
Hamilton
the
to stay up.
leaderboard.
Aberdeen are second bottom
Right.
in the form list, just saying.
Who's bottom?
Okay.
Kelly. Oh yeah, Kelly. Of course, I don't know why I asked.
Right. Next game, Motherwell take on Livingston. Craig.
The Livingston have to start winning eventually again, surely. Like they've lost, they've not won the last 5 or 6 or whatever now.
We said that about Aberdeen for ages.
No, I'm
I
going to
mean,
go.
but-
I'm going to go 2-0 Motherwell.
Billy.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Jamesy boy.
I'm going to say 1-0 to Motherwell.
Matty boy.
I'm gonna go with 2-1 to Livingston.
I don't know. It's one of those ones. I'm gonna go 0-0. So then we have Rangers v St Mirren.
That's. Oh, I don't actually know. 3-0 Rangers, I'll go for.
Well, I was talking to my good mate Steve Gerrard just after the game last night, and well, he's confident that the guys can get a win, and I'm going to agree with him. 3-1 Rangers.
So in other made-up stories,
Who were you talking to last night, Morelos?
no, I was talking to Sir Walter Smith. No,
Ah.
I'm going to say 1-0 Rangers.
I'm gonna go with double. I'll go with 2-0. 2-0 Rangers.
You've taken the words right out of my mouth. I'm also going to go with 2-0 Rangers.
But you know what?
In
On the
in
St. Mirren.
shock of the season. I'm on the St Mirren, yeah, exactly. Ross County, Kilmarnock.
Christ.
The worst game of the week.
3-0 Ross County.
Yep.
Oh,
Bill.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Are you?
Yep.
Sure.
I'm going to say 2-0 to Kelly.
Drugs.
Vote out.
Matt.
I'm gonna go with 0-0.
See, I'm really. I think Kelly might surprise me. I'm going to go 1-0 Kelly.
Tell you, I don't know how Matt can look at that game and think it's not going to be a goal fest. Honestly,
Got the makings of a
Yep.
good fest.
They're the
St. Johnstone-
they're the sides that have scored the 2 least goals in the league this season.
I know, it's signified
Goal
goal
fest.
St Johnstone v Hibs.
I'm gonna go for 2 each.
I'm going to go for 2-1 to St Johnstone.
I'm gonna say 2-1 to Hibs.
I'm gonna go with 2-0 to Hibs.
I'm going to go 2-1 Hibs as well. Although I wouldn't be surprised if St Johnstone won that game.
No, that was a toss up for me a
honest.
little bit.
Dundee United, Celtic.
Controversially, I'm going to go for 1-0 Dundee United, and the league will be over.
Is that controversial?
Billy,
2-0 Celtic.
Juror,
1-0 Celtic.
I'm gonna go
Matthew.
5-0 Celtic.
Tell you what, if you get correct score, I will be impressed.
I think-
Impressed. There's a reason I'm top.
Last time wasn't exactly fantastic for Celtic when we went away to Dundee United. But, I mean, we had a good night out after the game, and we did win our coupon that week, so maybe we can win it at the weekend here with this game. I'm going to go 3-0 Celtic.
Trust me, Ferg. I hope you're not picking Dundee United in the coupon this week. Honestly.
I won't be. Alloa v Inverness in the Championship, Craig.
0-0.
Belmondo,
2-1 to Inverness.
Juror,
2-0 to Inverness.
I'm gonna join Bill 2-1 to Inverness.
I hate making predictions on the Championship. I just feel like whatever I say, I get it wrong. Fucking,
I mean, you're last, so, apart from Craig.
I'm not
No,
last.
Craig's last apparently.
Yeah, but when you, Craig, would be last.
True.
1-0 Inverness. Yeah. Arbroath, Queen of the South.
I'm the only person not to predict an Inverness win. So that'll be me right again.
Well, you've done a lot this season so far.
Would you like to make your prediction, Craig?
Well,
I've said this game about 5 minutes ago.
I didn't hear you say the game. I was waiting for that. I'll go for Arbroath to continue their good run of form. 2-0 to Arbroath.
Aye.
Point shared, 1-1.
Juror?
I'm going to say 1-0 Arbroath. I'm going to say 1-0 Alloa.
I also said Arbroath. Arbroath.
I'm gonna go with a goalless draw. I think.
Oh. Yes, I think it's going to be a draw. I just can't decide whether it's going to be a score draw or just absolutely nothing.
Well, tell us then.
Oh, let's go 2 each. Let's go for a thriller. Hearts v Dundee. Will they get their form back, Craig?
I believe Hearts will get another draw. 1 each.
Billy,
Hearts to slip up, 2-1 Dundee.
Hearts to win 2-0.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna copy Jura there again. I think it will be 2-0 to Hearts.
You got to copy the best, to be fair.
and I'm gonna go 3-0 Hearts.
Got you in my mind now, Ferg's picked it.
just before this last game we predict, just to let everyone know that Jura's not predicted a single draw yet.
Aye.
So,
It's like a
without further
cookie, you
ado,
never put a draw in a coupon.
without further ado,
Not good.
Morton v Ayr, Craig.
3-0 Ayr.
Big game.
So, wait a minute.
That's why Craig is last.
Just you wait. Just you wait.
It's the bounce back.
You know what? If it's 3-0 here, I'll give you my points as well.
It's not how it works. But
Yeah, we've all heard him say it.
I'm
I'll
taking
personally
Billy's
give
points.
Craig my points for this game week if it's 3-0
Craig
here.
will go top of the table.
It'll be 2-0 to Morton.
I'm gonna say 1-0.
There it is.
It's a draw. Just
I'm gonna go 2-0 Ayr. I'm gonna be optimistic.
It's realistic, Matt. Realistic.
Okay, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
realistic.
I'm gonna go for 2-1 Ayr because I think they'll concede because they're gonna have a 2'2" midget in nets apparently.
Well, I have an update on that situation. My
Well,
source that I was speaking to does confirm that Sinisalo should be back for Saturday.
Oh well, nah, still 2-1.
Oh, but he's Finnish.
He's
No, he's not finished. He's only 21.
6'6", whatever height he is.
Mhm.
Why did you say he's height when I say he's Finnish?
That's the new
He's
one.
only finished. I'll be 6
Oh
six.
Christ Almighty! I think that is the key to end. Billy might need his bed after that.
Mhm.
It's too late. It's too late for me to go at this time of night.
Well, would you like to say goodbye, Billy? Matthew,
Yep, thanks for listening, folks.
Craig,
Goodbye.
and Jura, any last thoughts?
Happy birthday, Mum, and good night.
Have a good evening.
So wholesome. Yeah, so wholesome. Happy birthday to Jura's mum. We'll see you on Monday evening. Good night, goodbye, God bless.